Howdy folks, Keywii here, and welcome back to Suzerain, the safe space in which we awesome. I'm sorry if I sound tired. It's because I am tired. I don't know why, I just am exhausted right now. Anyway, we're gonna do some news, and then we're gonna... Jesus. And then we're gonna do, some game. So, Lesbia shows evidence of Volkslandian missiles in Helgeland. Alliance of Nations' latest session has ended with many important takeaways. However, the highlight of the gathering was without a doubt the issue of Helgeland. During the session, Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez showed photographs of Volkslandian deployment of missiles to the occupied Helgeland, shocking the world. The missile deployment poses an existential threat to every country in the Mercopa. At the moment, the peace of the world seems to be hanging by a thread due to the unlawful actions of Volksland. Chancellor Hergal's disgrace at Alliance of Nations. Alliance of Nations' latest session has ended with many important takeaways. However, the highlight of the gathering was, without a doubt, Chancellor Hergal. I feel like that's copy-paste. Anyway. Alliance of Nations, yeah. In a display of shameful behavior, Chancellor Hergal has repeatedly interrupted the Agnolian Prime Minister Van Houten and went so far as to require an intervention of the Speaker. We would like to remind you that this was a meeting of the leaders of the world, not a village council. As long as this type of behavior continues, how can we ever expect a peaceful and level-headed resolution for the Helgeland issue? Missiles on Helgeland. According to a report from the Alliance of Nations, immediately after the occupation, Volkslandian forces started building missile silos, and they brought in vehicles that are suspected to carry United Containen missiles that are capable of reaching western Mercopa. Agnolian leader Van Houten claimed that Volksland is planning to install nuclear missiles on the island. He said that Agnolia will not allow Volksland to settle on Helgeland. Agnolian forces did not react apart from 2 air raids since the invasion, and it is unknown if the conflict will be concluded officially anytime soon. Yikes. Let's see what all we got here. Just the 4 things by the looks of it. Alright. 5 things. Navy oversees import and export flow. Under the orders of the military, naval corps are being transferred from the Conradt Naval Base to the port of Lockhaven in order to better oversee the flow of imports and exports into and out of Sordland. Alright. Annual Republic Avenue looted. As violent protests continue throughout Sordland, authorities in Lockhaven are reporting out-of-control looting at the shops along Republic Avenue, with multiple windows broken and high-value items stolen. High-value items? Like what? Anyway, let's go to Volgan. Election poll results. With the election drawing near, our staff at the Maroon Palace has conducted general election polls all across Sordland. Our election polls show that roughly 16% of Sordland citizens would vote for the USP in the upcoming election. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Read the report. Peaceful protest turns violent. Of fucking course it does. Why can't a protest ever just stay peaceful? What was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration in downtown Jen turned violent as a number of participants brought weapons, leading to bloody clashes between the protesters and anti-protesters. Several bystanders were caught in the crossfire. The number of wounded is not yet known. Why can't people just be fucking calm? My god. Anyway, phone call from the Queen of Rumburg. I was in my office waiting for that call that could potentially change the future of Eastern Mercopa. The phone started ringing and I took a deep breath as I held it to my ear. I heard the voice of the Queen of Rumburg on the other side. Mr. Rayne, how pleasing it is to finally get a chance to speak with you in person. I am Queen Beatrice Livingston, the Queen of the Four Corners of Mercopa, defender of Castle Zarburg, Borough, the conqueror of the Tranquil Sea, the stout protector of the ancient lands of Roum, and descendant of the most honorable King Edward, and first of the ruler of Rumburg. Very nice to finally talk to you as well. Excellent. Now, given the circumstances, I never thought I would be giving you a personal phone call, yet here we are. Even after what Sordland has done, I'm showing you my willingness to talk instead of cutting off communications. You are so kind and generous. I did not hang up yet. That should show you my willingness to listen to your whining. Oh yeah, I gotta be civil here. Don't want to start a war. Rumberg is volatile. Why did you call? Please listen to me carefully. This is your last chance. I am offering you a peaceful way out of your dire situation. My demands are simple. You will give us control of our stolen ancestral homelands, Esord and Narble. These cities are surely of lesser importance to you, judging by the way your country has treated them. That's all I ask. If you fail to comply, to put it simply, we will take them by force. A war, Mr. Rayne. So please, I beg you to have reason. Think of your citizens. Think of your people. Do not enter a war that you have no chance of winning. You must be out of your mind if you thought I would give in to your threats. You dare insult me? Your time is over, Your Highness. Along with the country, I will see you on the battlefield. I will not lead my country to war. Peace must be maintained by any means necessary. I'm glad you see it that way. Do you comply with my demands? You must be joking. I have a duty to protect this nation. I will not sell pieces of it. A pity, really. At least my conscience is clear. I have given you a chance, and you refused. You have failed your people. What is, then, Mr. Rayne? You will regret your decision until your last breath. Yeah, I do regret my decision to pick up that phone. Just like that, the Rumberg War had begun. Goody. I refuse to surrender to Rumberg. Preparations for war began. He instigated, huh? Rumberg closes all diplomatic channels. Hey, give me your land or I will declare war on you. Rumberg closed all diplomatic channels with Sordland and blocked all incoming and outgoing communication. Our intelligence and army reports that the troops' movement in the border are indicating a preparation for an invasion. They went to Narble and where? I forget where she said she wanted. Maybe Loran? I don't remember. Anyway. Private meeting with David Whiskey. David had scheduled a private meeting with me, but he didn't specify what it was about. I obviously figured. I heard a knock on the door. Mr. President, may I come in? Yes, David, please come in. Thank you. I realized I just made their voices similar. No. He slowly made his way towards a chair in front of my desk and sat down. First of all, thank you for your time. Anything for you, David? Don't mention it. What's wrong? Please make it quick. I would think anything for you, David. I wanted to ask how you are doing. It looks like war is truly upon us. It must be taking a toll on you, just like it did on me all those years ago. But of course, I won't presume to understand what you are going through right now. I was never the leader of a nation during wartime, after all. I'm only interested in the results of the war, nothing more. Honestly, I'm tired, David. I'm tired of it all. I'm fine, thanks for asking. Oh, I know the feeling. Trust me, I know. Sometimes you just want to throw away all the responsibility and escape. Perhaps into the wilderness, perhaps into the sea. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But I could never do that. That's what I want to do. I want to get away from this office. I could never do that. Unfortunately, men of power are bound by duty and their responsibility to the nation. He started coughing. What a privilege for me. I had the chance to watch my student grow into a fine and strong leader in my lifetime. What a privilege indeed. You tried your best to bring reform to Sordland. That is valiant in itself. It is okay to feel frustrated by failure, but change unfortunately doesn't happen easily. You paved a path for the future generations to follow, and they will remember you for it. It wouldn't be possible without you. That's right, I will do whatever I can to leave a good world for the ones who will come after us. When all is said and done, we still have failed. That is the reality, yes. But we can't be sulking about our failures for too long, otherwise we will spiral into depression. This country does not need any more despair. David coughed again, this time for longer. I overheard a conversation the other day near a newspaper stand. It piqued my interest, so I kept listening. They were talking about you. They were calling you a radical centrist. What do you think about that? They weren't wrong. I am a centrist. My father... Oh, nice. I got an achievement that says centralist. Centrist. God damn it. My father, Arthur S. Whiskey, used to say, always know yourself. It's good to know that you do. So, the elections are fast approaching. How are you feeling about your chances? I can't say for sure, but I'm hopeful. We will see. I mean, I want to lose. I want someone to come in and sweep up my mess and be like, "Hey, let's fix all this problem." And I've invigorated people. They are very encouraged to do better. Uncertainty doesn't suit you, Mr. President. I'm afraid I have an announcement to make to you. An announcement? What kind? Go on. After the term is done, I will be retiring. David, I can't accept this. You're irreplaceable in my cabinet. I'll be lying if I said I wasn't expecting this. I have been in this line of work for many decades now. I swore an oath to myself years ago. I don't ever look at the screen, but man, does his fucking hair need to be more gray. I would quit if I ever felt like I didn't have the physical capability to serve anymore. At that point, I would become a hindrance. The time has come, Mr. President. My bones are aching, my hands are shaking, my voice is quaking. Besides, I am sure that you can find a younger minister who is a little more full of life. He winked at me and chuckled, which turned into another cough. You'll be sorely missed, David. You've been a mentor, a teacher, and a friend. Thank you for your service to this country. It was an honor, Mr. President. David stood up to leave. Shake his hand. Oh, I could hug him? I'm gonna hug him. I'm gonna hug. Before I go, I want to mention something. He looked before grabbing my arm and lowered his voice. We are probably being watched, so I must be brief. Be careful of the military. I think they are planning something. I've lived long enough to see 2 coups in my lifetime, and let's just say I have gotten better at recognizing the signs. You must remember what happened to my father, Anton. Just be careful and take care of your family. Take this as the last piece of advice from me. He suddenly raised his voice again. Best of luck, Anton. Thank you. He turned around and left. Ooh, news reports. The war has begun, eh? Hey, what's going on in Agnolia? Agnolia puts forward bid to join ATO. Republic of Agnolia officially put forward a bid to join ATO. It is likely they will be entering the Arcasian sphere as President Walker has tentatively accepted their bid to gain more foothold against CSP. I'm a centralist, man. I don't need this shit. Alright, the whole sword post. President's impeachment trial date set. After weeks of preliminary hearings, President Rayne's impeachment trial date has been set. His case will be heard by the Supreme Court in mid-October, just prior to the election. Given the president's disgraceful behavior while in office, this day is long overdue. We look forward to the moment when the court finally brings Rayne to justice. Impeachment witnesses' reliability called into question. As President Rayne's impeachment trial approaches, Sordland today has obtained exclusive reports that cast doubt in the reliability of so-called witnesses who will be testifying. There is reason to believe that many of the government officials asked to provide evidence against Rayne have personal vendettas against the president, or were bribed by Rayne's enemies to give false testimony. This trial is nothing but a sham meant to bring an ignoble end to the best presidency Sordland has ever had. Well, that's certainly not true. best presidency. I don't think that's right at all. As the next president of Sordland is Lilius Graf, shockwaves ran through the United Sordland Party as the one-time interior minister announced her intention to challenge President Rayne for party leadership. A staunch defender of the USP's socialist roots, Graf began the term as a close ally to Rayne, but increasingly disagreed with the direction in which the president was taking the party. In a party congress to be held at the Grand National Assembly, both Graf and Rayne will have a chance to make speeches, after which the USP members will choose whether to keep or oust their incumbent candidate. Geopolitico. Sordland foreign minister retires. David Whiskey, Sordland's foreign minister, has announced he will be retiring at the end of Mr. President Anton Rayne's first term. The son of Sordland's first president, Whiskey has enjoyed a long and fruitful diplomatic career and served as something of a mentor to President Rayne during his student years. The Rayne administration has not yet announced a potential replacement for Mr. Whiskey should Rayne be elected to a second term. President to be dethroned at long last, President Rayne, the most notorious abuser of power since Tarquin Sol himself, is set to be impeached for his criminal misdeeds. The Supreme Court will be hearing his case this month, with a group of witnesses from inside Rayne's administration to testify. If the prosecution is successful, Rayne will be the first Swordfish president to be impeached from office, and rightfully so. Workers' Party coming strong. Leak and Workers' Party of Bludia is showing great promise according to the latest polls. After Ejal's poisoning, the party has been rising in popularity, even in major cities outside of Burgias such as Lockhaven, Gilsord, and Volgan. In a rally yesterday, Leak said the Blutish force is finally coming to the assembly. We are being supported by millions of Sordish, Blutish, and Egno-Sordish citizens. We are coming strong to break the racist structure of this country. Hey. Friday afternoon in the office. Alright, well, let's read the USP Congress canceled. In light of the encroaching war with Rumberg, the USP, the Sordland Party, the Congress will not happen this year. President Anton Rayne retains his position as party leader, represent United Sordland as a presidential candidate in the coming elections. Interesting. The door opened and Lucian entered. Mr. President, there is a problem. Oh, tell me something new. Tell me something I don't know! What is it now? Some cabinet members said they wanted to speak to you urgently. They are in the White Room. Please follow me. We started walking. Do you know what it's about? I was just told to come get you, sir. I opened the doors and entered the White Room, looked around. Simon was sitting, playing with a pen in front of him. Pascal looked incredibly stressed. He wiped off his sweat. So, why did you call me here? Mr. President, we are here to let you know that we are handing you our resignations. Resignations? What is the meaning of this? See, you're trying to sabotage me before our elections. Well, let's all calm down. We can work something out. I'm afraid we can't calm down. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but this is the end of the road. We simply cannot go on anymore after what happened. But why? What are your reasons? You're betraying me. Talk to me. What can I do? How can I help you better? But why? What are your reasons? I suppose we owe you an explanation. Even though you acted against the epidemic which saved millions of swords, I cannot and will not stand with your abuse of power. The things you did behind closed doors shook me to my bones when the news came to my knowledge. You may have your reasons, Mr. President, but that is for the greater good. But the same line of reasoning will simply lead to more atrocious actions. I will hand you my resignation once our term is done, Mr. President. I have failed my mission as the Minister of Economy. During our term, instead of stopping the recession, we have made it even worse and entered the Sordish Depression. I blame myself for this. I couldn't offer you better solutions. I've proven that I am unfit to serve as a Minister of Economy in Sordland. I will resign at the end of our term. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with you. Don't do this, Simon. I am to blame, not you. I'm afraid things are already in motion, Mr. President. I took a deep breath. I looked at their determined faces. We have no choice but to accept your resignations. Ministers left and I took a seat alone in the White Room. Simon has failed his job and could always be replaced with another expert. His departure wouldn't be felt and the damage he has done won't be forgotten. Pascal's heart was in the right place, and it's sad that he is leaving. Hey, I failed the economy, not Simon. People come and people go, such is life. Simon Hall. All right, what's going on in political overview? Oh, my cabinet is emptying out. Hang on, my foot is really itchy. It is fucking emptying out. Alright, news. Full sword post. Wave of resignations strike Rayne administration. According to Ruin Palace insiders, several key members of Rayne's cabinet approached him yesterday to hand in the resignation letters. It is not yet known who resigned, for what reasons they did so, or when their resignations are set to go into effect. But this event, combined with everything else that has been going on, is unfortunately likely to cripple Rayne's election chances. That's fine. Future Rayne's cabinet. Following the last week's resignations of the cabinet, eyes turn to President Rayne as his term is approaching its end. No selection for the vacant seats has been announced yet, however. The timing bears some questions about the stability of the administration. This is, without a doubt, going to have a considerable impact on the election as President Rayne is gearing up towards his possible second term. Resignation, who's on Rayne's side now? After the latest wave of cabinet resignations, we have to ask who, if anyone, is still supporting Anton Rayne. We have to have such valuable and experienced office officials desert the administration so close to the election is both a crushing blow and a decisive referendum on the Rayne presidency. It's looking more and more like Rayne will go down in history as an ineffectual one-term president, just like his predecessor. Everyone is leaving. Dinner at home. Oh God, is Monica gonna resign now? With an impeachment trial looming and war on the horizon, I've practically been sleeping in my office lately. But tonight, a deliberate effort to get home early. I told Monica and Dina I wanted a family supper, just like in the old days. Monica had promised to cook something special. The usual crowd of protesters was waiting for me outside the gates of the complex. The guards formed a cordon to let me through. Give the guards a suspicious look. Don't look at them and go to your door. I rushed past the guards to my door. Once inside, I locked the front door behind me. I hurried past them, went inside, and locked the front door behind me. I heard footsteps coming my way. Hi, Papa. Dina, how was your school? Weird is what that is. Dina, how was your school today? She shrugged. I won a prize at the science fair. Honestly, I think they were teaching girls different stuff before because they knew we were smarter than boys. You might be right. She smiled. Mama's in there. I've gotta do some homework before dinner. I followed her with my eyes as she went upstairs. She was starting to look more and more like her mother. I sat in the kitchen. Monica was stirring a pot on the stove, her back turned to me. Hug her from behind. Snuck up behind Monica and gave her a hug. She screamed and dropped her ladle. God, Anton, don't startle me like that. You know I'm still on edge after the parade. You're right, that was a close call. You're right, that was a close call. It wasn't a close call for Serge. Why don't you go fix yourself up a drink in the living room? I'll let you know when dinner's ready. I sat in the living room, poured myself a bit of whiskey, and flipped through one of Monica's women's magazines. Dina came rushing back down the stairs and made a beeline for the coffee table. She picked up her pencil case. Almost forgot that. Frank never took his studies so seriously. What do you hear from your brother these days? Not much. He doesn't call as often now that he's got a girlfriend. Papa, is it true how he got into whole sword state? Would you do that for me too? Only if you show more gratitude than he did. Just keep studying so you'll never have to find out. Monica opened the doorway. She smiled at the two of us. Your dinner's ready. The three of us... Hair in my mouth. The three of us gathered around the dining room table. Monica ladled out bowls full of zabla. The stew tasted as good as it smelled. Now that we're all here, I wanted to say something. I know the past 4 years have been hard on all of us. I know the past 4 years have been the hardest of my life. The past 4 years have tested our strength as a family. I was so busy focusing on the needs of the Swordish people that I sometimes forgot about Sordland's most important people, my own wife and daughter. I know I haven't been there for either of you as much as I should have. So grateful to both of you for supporting me through it all. So proud of us for getting through it all together. We deserve some time off together as a family. Monica's eyes were shining. Aww. Right now, there's no time. We need to get to Sordland. We need to get out of Sordland, all of us. And we'll have plenty of time for that because I'm retiring from politics at the end of this term. Once the election is over, I'm taking you both on holiday. Yeah, you know what? You know what? Monica and Dina looked at me in shock. Anton, you can't do that. Not for my sake. It's not just for your sake. I'm sick and tired of this game. I want out. She sighed heavily. I suppose you don't have much of a chance of re-election anyway. There's still so much that needs to be done for Sordland, but maybe you're not the one to do it. Dina looked still confused. Does that mean you're not going to be here anymore? We're not going to live here anymore? Oh, we're getting far away from Holsword as possible. We could stay here, but we don't have to. We can do whatever we want. As I spoke, I felt a weight lifted from my shoulders. Oh, yes, actually. I knew I'd made the right choice. I'm still going to keep fighting for women's rights, no matter who wins the election. I won't stop you from fighting. I won't stop fighting for the causes I believe in, too, from a distance. I'm taking up farming or something. Monica and I smiled at each other. Cool, it'll be an adventure. Can we finish dinner now? You two go ahead. I have to write my retirement speech. Of course. The three of us dug into our food and started talking about what we'd do once I was no longer president. When we were done, I went up to my study and started drafting my retirement speech. Yeah, I'm not running. Fuck that. Fuck running again. Look, my legs are tired. Fucking terrible joke about I just flew in and my arms are tired. I just ran for president and my boy are my legs tired. Now, the Air Force has issued a warning against non-essential air travel. So civilians are discouraged from booking flights except in the case of business purposes or to visit sick or dying relatives. What else do we got? War room. Oh, okay, well, we got the planning meeting. That's going to take more than 3 minutes. With the new powers that it had been granted, the Swordish military has assumed responsibility for keeping peace within Sordland's borders. Overriding local police authority, extra troops have been dispatched to Camp Strongarm to manage the growing unrest in Holsword. Do I end the episode here? We got 2 minutes, but I don't want to go over with another scene. I'll do just this one, and hopefully it's not too bad. I arrived at the Ministry of Defense and entered the war room to discuss the war plans with the general staff. I had never seen this room so packed with people. Every single top-ranking general and admiral in Sordland was in attendance. In addition to the military officers, their assistants were spread out around the room. They stopped their chatter immediately and saluted me. Lostef was standing over the table, arranging tokens atop an oversized map of Sordland and Rimburg. He walked up to me and saluted. Mr. President. At ease, gentlemen. Got the chatter and let's start. At ease, gentlemen. General sat down and I took my seat at the head of the table. I took a look around. General Vulcan nodded at me. Lostef stood up and picked up an extendable pointer from the shelf on the wall. The chattering among the staff began again. Lostef extended the pointer and loudly hit the map on the table right in its center. Silence! The room immediately went quiet. Everyone had their attention on Lostef. He turned to me. Mr. President, may I begin? Please do. Very well. Everyone in this room has read the reports that the Queen of Rimburg is getting ready for a nationwide speech in 2 weeks. We have credible intel that she will be announcing a declaration of war against Sordland. Rimburgian troop movements in the last 24 hours indicate that they are bolstering their frontline strength. The time has come. Mr. President, at this point we are sure that they are preparing for a large-scale invasion. I have faith in our soldiers, we will prevail. To say that I am worried would be an understatement. This will surely make us the enemy of the Queen, but if we triumph, she won't be She won't be matter enough for us to worry about. She won't matter enough for us to worry about. She is out for blood, that's for sure. They think they will emerge victorious.
Then let's prove her wrong.
How soon will they commence the attack? How does our military strength compare to theirs? Give it to me straight. What are the odds of success? Their estimates put their active military personnel at around 100,000 to 1 million. Meanwhile, we have approximately 150,000 soldiers on the ground. And as for their air force, our estimates put the aircraft in their fleet at around 700. We have approximately 410 planes, of which 140 are state-of-the-art jets. Our fleet currently totals up to 60 ships and approximately 60,000 sailors. Fortunately, the main theater of this war will be on land, so the Navy will have a limited impact. I predict that they will try to block our seaports, reducing our trade and disrupting our supplies. Yeah, they'd have to come all the way the hell down here. Like, they have no sea access on the south here. Meanwhile, Rumberg has 110 ships, and according to our latest intelligence reports, high-tech submarines as well. Regrettably, we don't have an estimate on how many submarines they have. The Queen is assured her royal submarines are under state of secrecy. Thus, our intelligence officers are having a hard time spotting them. Overall, the numbers may seem superior, but I would like to remind everyone that wars are not won with numbers alone. Yosef glanced at the generals and stopped at Vulcan. He shook his head. How soon will they commence the attack? Judging from their movements and the insider information we have received, we have 2, maybe 3 weeks if we're lucky. There's a collective gasp from some of the general's assistants. Give it to me straight. What are the odds of success? They're not high. I understand the situation. Good. Now we have to talk about our defensive strategy. Let's begin with our land forces. We currently have the 1st Army deployed at Estor to reinforce the border. This is the place where they will most likely attack from. 2nd Army is standing at the Rhine for a possible assault from the north. The 6th Army is currently garrisoned at Narble, awaiting orders.
Due to the potential of an invasion, all 3 armies have been undergoing rigorous drills, especially during the past few months.
They are prepared to fight and die for their country, Mr. President.
Good, that gives me some confidence at least.
Good to hear. Now let's start discussing our path to victory in this war.
Our top strategic location is Thornburg, Rumberg's capital and the Queen's residence. Used to say if we manage to capture the Queen, the war will end.
But she flies Thornburg before we get there. What are the chances of capturing their capital? Can we still win without capturing Thornburg? Let's move on. What are their other objectives? What are the chances of capturing their capital? There might be an opportunity to push for Thornburg after we capture Zarburg, but we are afraid of we are ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that when we discuss the war plan. What if she flees Thornburg? I'm a proud soldier of Sordland, Mr. President. I'd rather die than give up Holsor to invaders. And I know a prideful person when I see one. If we strike fast, we can capture the capital and the Queen before she comes to her senses. Let's move on. What are the other objectives? Aside from Thornburg, the location that we must capture to even have a chance to win this war is Zarborough. That one. Right side of the Tranquil Sea. If we get that, they can't supply troops. Yeah, easily anyway.
Zarborough is the intersection of Rumberg's complex railway system. If we take it, we have more options on both the offensive and defensive.
Another strategic location is Dome. Capturing Dome will prevent us from being surrounded and cut off from the east.
It will also reduce the battle line we have to cover with our limited numbers.
I'll be frank, we can't fend them off alone. We need help.
Heh. We don't need anyone else to protect our country. Sordland will stand alone as always.
We're talking about fighting 1,000,000 men. 1,000,000! Here is the hard truth. We're alone in this war.
I've always been alone, Lucef. We need to do whatever we can ourselves. I know we can win. I know we can win.
Our confidence is inspiring, Mr. President. Yeah, you gotta be confident. At any rate, this is what we are dealing with. Let's move on to our war strategy. Our first objective is taking Zarsborough.
We continue, General. So how are we taking this city? What are the plans to take Zarsborough?
There are 3 options on the table at the moment.
Oh, don't make me pick one. One is simply dig in and endure their first wave attack, then retaliate after they are weakened. Our second option is to launch a full-scale defensive on Zarsborough. We will strike at them hard and fast before they have the chance to draw first blood.
Which is insane in my opinion. The third option is to do a pincer attack to wipe out their forces, then march towards Zarsborough. In any case, our soldiers in the main armies are well drilled and prepared to carry out any strategy we choose. Though our armed forces have been reduced in size, they are all well equipped for the war.
I was digging in and waiting for them to attack a good option. You just launch an assault. Tell me more about the pincer attack. When they launch their initial offensive, our soldiers and tanks will be entrenched in strategic and well-fortified positions. Let them throw their manpower at our impenetrable line of defense. We will grind down their armies that they are so proud of. With their pride shatters, their morale low, and their line disorganized, we will launch an all-out assault to strike the finishing blow.
Which makes no sense. You're handing them the time and motivation to come up with a plan to attack us.
They outnumbered us, Lucef. With this move, we will destroy, or at worst, limit the effectiveness of their advantage.
We don't even have the manpower to cover the entire border. We don't have enough resources to fill potential weaknesses.
All thanks to you. You were the one who pushed President Rayne to remove mandatory conscription. Gerrymander can be deployed on the main line as well to support the war effort.
They are police force, Vulcan. Their skills will certainly be of use during the war, but they shouldn't join the front line as common soldiers.
Tell me more about this pincer attack.
We'll feint at an assault on Krimstrad. With the full intention of tricking the enemy. Casualties are expected to be certain, except Rumberg does not become suspicious of our real intentions. When they believe they are winning, they will push for Estord. With their confidence so high, they will never expect the 2nd Army from the east and the 6th Army from the west, which are holding their striking positions. At the moment they capture Estord, we'll pull the trigger. Our bombers will strike the logistical hubs behind them, after which we will attack Estord from all 3 sides, destroying their enemy forces. While Rumberg is recovering from its losses, Zarsborough will be ripe for the taking. That's the time for us to immediately launch a counteroffensive towards Zarsborough and take the city.
Are you mad, General, letting Rumberg's invaders into Sordland? Might as well invite the Queen to tea and Holsword while you're at it.
Gerrymander will be of excellent help during our strike at Estord. They know every nook and cranny of the city. I'm confident that we will achieve complete victory with my strategy.
Why can't we launch an assault on Zarsborough?
If we choose to assault Zarsborough, our first step will be to have our bombers strike them on the front line.
More precisely, at strategic points, the path of Zarsborough from Estord. Then our tanks will come in and puncture their defense at Krimstrad, followed by our soldiers.
After we penetrate their line, we will race for Zarsborough, threatening an encirclement of their forces. Which all sounds much easier than it is. Let me remind you that we are butting heads with an army far larger than ours. They can cover weaknesses in their line rapidly, which will leave our troops that are pushing through isolated.
Our planes will bomb them to smithereens.
With what air force? We will be overwhelmed by Rumberg's planes the moment they take off. Without air superiority, our troops will have a tough time on the field. I'm ready to choose our first move. It was the decision of the first phase, Mr. President.
Stay and invite them to certain death. We'll show them what we're made of.
And we need to fight smarter if we are weaker. Let's go with Losef's pincer plan. Excellent.
We're so doomed then.
The decision is finally made, Vulcan.
Losef and I signed the plan documents for the first phase of the war and handed them off to the nearest soldier.
So let's assume at this point we have Zarbro in our hands. This is the first step. From this point on, it will be harder since we're going deep into hostile territory. I see two options for us to move forward. We can continue pushing towards Zarbro and capture this queen, or we turn our attention towards Dome. We risk being flanked from the east with either strategy, but it is a risk that we must take. Any questions, Mr. President?
How would we take Thornborough? Why can't we just defend from this point on? Elaborate on strategy against Dome. How would we take Thornburg?
After Zarborough is taken, the enemy will be in shock and their morale will be low. Hence opening a brief window of opportunity for us to march through Thornburg.
Excuse me.
However, if we hesitate for even a moment, the window will close. Even worse, the enemy will realize that we are overextending and will try to cut us off. This will leave the bulk of our army isolated in the cold north.
As much as I want to crush all Rumburgian hope by taking their capital, our doctrine does not include those kinds of rapid advances.
Our doctrine.
To boot, our supply line will be stretched too thin, creating a weak point that can be exploited by the enemy.
Our gerrymander can stay behind in Zarborough to cover our flank.
Elaborate on a strategy against Dome.
Dome and Zarborough are excellently linked logistically. There is a railway between the two cities.
This will aid us in transporting military supplies and troops. You can easily launch an attack on Dome within half a week after taking Zarborough.
Well, that said, control of the rail system is key because Rumburg can utilize it as well. If they can withstand our assault, they can launch a counter-offensive with ease from their direction of Dome to retake Zarborough. We would lose everything we had gained so far.
However, with the capture of Dome, there will be no need to take Thornburg. It would be too late to attack anyway. Rumburg, so many burgs, would either reinforce their southern defenses or the Queen would come to her senses and flee the capital.
Even if we manage to capture Thornburg without their Queen, we won't be able to hold it during the winter. Our supply lines will be too stretched out by that.
Is Thornburg the capital? Where's the capital? I don't know where their capital is. Oh. However, the two of the largest cities in our hand, we can lay out a defensive line. Especially around Dome, they took it from Magnolia because of the oil field surrounding it. Their industrial sector has since heavily relied on them. With their oil supply cut, we won't have the fuel for their huge war machine. Their economy will slowly collapse, be effectively choking them until they capitulate.
But we have to consider the defenses in and around the city of Dome. Ever since they took it from Magnolia, they have been building up fortification in case of an Agnolian attempt at retaking the city. Furthermore, due to the length of the operation to take Zarborough, they would come to realize that Dome is our next target. There's no guarantee that we could take a well-reinforced and fortified city while holding the line at the western and northern fronts.
The gerrymander can stay behind and protect our flank from Zarborough. You said so yourself. Just defend Zarborough from this point on. Hang on. It is in fact this one. I mean, I should ask, but I'm just so sick of listening to people talk.
Your decision, Mr. President. We will march toward Thornburg and end the war with a decisive strike against the enemy. We will attack Dome and lay out a defensive line. Let them come and get us. No. We want to be swift. Our thing isn't endurance. Our thing is precision. It is decided then.
I'm warning you, if Rumburg listens to their well-trained officers, this plan will not work.
I'm adding it to our battle plan. And that, gentlemen, is our plan against Rumburg. We only have one chance of victory. If we falter at any point during the war, it will be the end of Sordland as we know it. Mr. President, we will need your executive order to mobilize the forces. Osef handed me the order and waited for me to sign the document. Its title was Operation Fallen Crown. Sign off on it. My dude, of course I'm going to sign off on Operation Fallen Crown. That makes it official then. He turned to the generals in the room. Yeah, the thing is, though, like, the whole thing of the plan is that we're gonna, like, wait for them to come to us, because they're attacking us, right? And in the international community, it will absolutely be seen as Rumburg instigated. No question that they instigated the war. So they're gonna come in and be like, oh yes, we're gonna steal your land from you. It was once ours, but you know, he'll take all your land from us. Take your land from you. But then, you know, while they're marching into our country and the entire world is just like, Rumburg invaded, we've been ready the whole time. We have to go. Get back to your posts immediately. The general saluted and the room dispersed to begin the preparations. I stood there alone in the war room, looking at the map of Sordland laid out on the table. I picked up one of the little metal tokens on it and flipped it over in my hand. It represented thousands of men who are willing to die for this country. For me. I hoped I would not let them down. Oh, what the fuck, Vogsland? I'm gonna end the episode here in a moment. Democratic Republic of Vogsland hereby reiterates commitment to peace in Eastern Mercopa. The tensions between Rumburg and Sordland have to be prevented to escalate further. We are strongly urging calm in the region. Cool. I'd love if Rumburg fucking calmed down. In order to address the decades-long atrocities committed by Sordland once and for all, effective immediately, Her Majesty Queen Beatrice Livingston declares that a state of war exists between the Kingdom of Rumburg and Sordland. Anyway, that'll have to be it for this one. Tune in next time for war. Oh wait, hang on. Fucking Lesbia has shit to say. Lesbia urges calm. The Republic of Lesbia hereby reiterates commitment to peace in Eastern Mercopa. Tensions between Rumburg and Sordland have to be prevented to escalate further. We are strongly urging calm in the region. Dude, we fucking would love if shit calmed down. But it ain't. Anyway, love you all. Goodbye.